Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Claire Bennett. I'm here to answer the private questions you don't always say out loud. Today we'll talk about the 3 words that make her think about you nonstop. Not because you manipulated her, but because you triggered something deeper. You want to know the truth? She is not thinking about the guy who talks the most. She is not thinking about the guy who tries too hard. And she is definitely not thinking for long about the guy who sounds copied, rehearsed, predictable. She keeps thinking about the man who made her feel something real. That is the part most men miss. Because attraction is not only about being handsome. It is not only about confidence. It is not only about saying the right line. A woman can forget a perfect sentence very quickly. But she will remember how you made her feel when she was tired, when she was guarded, when she was unsure, and when she was trying to decide whether you were just another man talking, or a man she could actually feel. And that is where these 3 words come in. Not magic words, not manipulation, not a trick. These are emotional keys. Because when a woman keeps thinking about you, it usually happens for one reason. You entered her emotions, not just her attention. And there is a huge difference between attention and emotional impact. A woman can give attention to many men. She can reply, she can smile, she can flirt a little, she can enjoy the conversation. But emotional impact? That is rare. That happens when your words reach the part of her that is tired of games, tired of guessing, tired of men who want access without offering safety, clarity, or depth. So if you really want her to think about you after the conversation ends, after the phone is down, after the room gets quiet, then stop asking, "What line should I use?" Ask a better question. What emotional experience does she have when she talks to me? Because that is what stays. And the first word is this: I understand. Not in a fake way, not in an overconfident way, not in that annoying way where a man acts like he has figured her out in 5 minutes. Women can feel that instantly, and when it feels fake, it does not create connection. It creates distance. But when she feels genuinely understood, something changes. Her guard drops a little. Her tone softens a little. Her mind comes back to you later, because being understood is rare. A lot of women are used to being reacted to, judged too fast, misread too quickly, pushed to explain themselves, or punished emotionally for not giving the exact response a man wanted. So when you become the man who does not rush to make everything about himself, you stand out immediately. For example, she replies slower than usual. Most men fail right there. They become passive-aggressive, cold, needy, sarcastic. They say something like, "Oh, so now you're busy?" Or, "Guess you lost interest." And in one sentence, they reveal insecurity, pressure, and emotional immaturity. But a man who understands emotional timing says something different. He says, "Looks like you've had a long day. Take your time." That lands differently because now she feels seen, not cornered. And that matters more than men think. Of course, this does not apply to everyone. Every individual is different. But in general, people remember the ones who reduced pressure, not the ones who added more. Psychologically, this makes sense. The mind remembers emotional relief. If someone makes you feel like you can breathe, you come back to that experience in your head. That is why "I understand" is powerful. Not because it sounds romantic, but because it makes her feel she does not have to perform around you. And let's be honest, that is a very powerful feeling. But understanding alone is not enough. Because some men sound emotionally intelligent for 5 minutes. They say warm things. They sound calm. They seem different. And then they disappear. They become inconsistent. They go hot and cold, they create confusion, and now everything they said loses weight. Which brings us to the second word, relax. Or in a deeper sense, you're safe with me. Now listen carefully, because this is where a lot of men lose women without even realizing it. Many men think uncertainty creates attraction. And yes, sometimes uncertainty creates obsession. But obsession is not the same as healthy desire. And it is definitely not the same as trust. A woman may think about a confusing man, but not always in a good way. Sometimes she is thinking because she is anxious. because she is trying to read him, because she does not know where she stands, because her nervous system is activated, not because her heart feels secure. That is not the kind of connection a mature man should want to build. The man she thinks about in a deeper, warmer, more lasting way is often the one who made her feel calm. That is the part younger men underestimate. Calm is seductive. Consistency is seductive. Clarity is seductive. Especially to a woman who has already met enough men who were charming in the beginning and exhausting later. So when your words, your tone, and your behavior all say, "You can relax," you become memorable in a different category, a stronger category. For example, you tell her you'll call, then you call. You make a plan, then you follow through. You are interested, so you show interest consistently, not intensely for one night and absent for 3 days. You do not use silence as punishment. You do not create distance just to test her reaction. You do not force her to earn basic respect. And sometimes the phrase is very simple. No pressure. It's okay, take your time. I'm not here to rush anything. You don't have to force the conversation. These are small lines, but they hit deeply when backed by stable energy. Because what she hears is not just the sentence. What she hears is, "This man is not trying to trap me. This man is not trying to control the pace. This man is emotionally steady. This man may actually be safe to feel." And when a woman feels safe to feel, that is when she starts replaying moments with you. That is when she starts remembering your voice, your timing, your energy, your presence. Because her mind is no longer busy protecting her. It now has space to connect. And that leads to the third word, the one most men rush to use, the one that can either feel powerful or completely empty. Miss. As in, "I miss you." Now here is the mistake. Men say this too early, too often, too cheaply. And when a woman feels that the line has no emotional foundation, it does not pull her closer. It makes her question you. Why? Because missing someone is only meaningful when there is something real to miss. If there has been no emotional depth, no consistency, no feeling of being understood, then "I miss you" sounds like a shortcut. And women are usually very sensitive to shortcuts. But when the foundation is there, this line can stay in her mind for hours, sometimes days. Because now it means more than desire. Now it means, "Your presence affected me. You left an imprint. There is something about you that stayed with me after you were gone." That is powerful. But the key is detail. Never make it lazy. Do not just say, "I miss you," like a man sending the same message to 5 women. Make it specific. "I miss talking to you. You have a calming effect. I passed that place today and remembered what you said. I miss your energy. It stayed with me longer than I expected." Now she feels something different. She feels that you are not just missing attention, you are missing her. That distinction matters, because a lot of men do not actually miss the woman. They miss access. They miss validation. They miss being entertained. They miss being wanted. Women can feel that. And when she feels that you truly noticed her, her way of thinking, her little expressions, her emotional texture, that is when your words hit deeper. Research in psychology often suggests that emotionally specific memories are more powerful than vague ones. And it makes sense. The brain holds on to detail, not because detail is dramatic, but because detail feels real. So if you want her to think about you longer, stop using generic lines. Generic words create generic impact. Specific words create emotional residue. And emotional residue is what stays with her at night. Now let's connect all 3. "I understand." This tells her she does not have to over-explain herself around you. "Relax." This tells her she does not have to be on guard around you. "I miss you." This tells her that her presence actually mattered to you. Do you see the pattern? First, she feels seen. Then, she feels safe. Then, she feels significant. That sequence matters. Because if you jump to significance before safety, it feels heavy. If you try to create closeness before understanding, it feels forced. But when you move in the right emotional order, your words feel natural, and natural always lands deeper than rehearsed. Now let me say something very clearly. This is not about making a woman obsessed. It is not about hacking her mind. It is not about control. Healthy attraction is not built through emotional chaos. It is built through emotional clarity. And yes, context matters more than one single sign. Every woman is different. Every dynamic is different. This is not a diagnosis. It is not a rule. It is a pattern. But it is a pattern many men ignore, because they focus on intensity instead of emotional intelligence. They focus on sounding impressive instead of being impactful. They focus on getting attention instead of becoming memorable. And memorable men usually have one thing in common. Their words match their nervous system. They speak with calm. They act with consistency. They do not chase 1 minute and withdraw the next. They do not perform connection. They create it. That is why a woman may forget the flashy guy, forget the overconfident guy, forget the one who said all the polished lines, but she keeps remembering the one who made her feel understood without pressure, safe without boredom, wanted without being used. That combination is rare, and rare is remembered. So what should you do better? Start here. Speak less, but mean more. Do not rush emotional language before emotional trust exists. Pay attention to her rhythm instead of forcing your own. When she is distant, do not panic too fast. When she is open, do not become careless. When you say something warm, make sure your actions can carry it. Because the truth is, women do not fall for words alone. They fall for what the words reveal about the man. His patience, his steadiness, his emotional control, his ability to make her feel without making her anxious. That is what hits psychologically. That is what separates a boy using lines from a man creating depth. And if you really want her to think about you nonstop, then become the kind of man who leaves her with peace, curiosity, respect, and emotional warmth. Not confusion, not pressure, not mixed signals. Peace, curiosity, respect, warmth. Because when a woman feels those things around you, she will replay you in her mind without you forcing anything. She will remember your tone, your presence, your restraint, your timing, not because you chased, but because you landed. And that is a very different kind of power. So remember the 3 words: I understand, relax, I miss you. Not as lines, as emotional messages. Seen, safe, significant. That is what lingers. That is what stays. And that is what makes a woman think about you long after the conversation is over. This is Claire Bennett. If this gave you a new perspective, follow for more deep relationship psychology, quiet truths, and the private questions people do not always say out loud. See you in the next one.